all you queens and cryptids, and welcome to Queer and Loathing, the only podcast that's played lots of stupid games, but still didn't win any stupid prizes. I'm your host, Brett Bodie, and with me are my co-hosts.
I'm Mel.
I'm Samantha.
And today we'll be talking about the veritable phenomenon that is the Twilight series of books and movies.
And I had the idea of us first talking about that actual phenomenon, just the mania, the craze, the discourse surrounding the franchise. And because we're going to have just too much to say on this topic, we're going to have a separate second episode, get hyped, about the actual source material in our second parter. So you will have to tune in again to actually hear our thoughts on the books and movies as source items. But today, I really want us to talk about Twilight as a concept, as a piece of culture, as a weird thing that has just lingered in society for like 16 years.
Oh, yeah.
Or so.
I think the first novel was published in 2005.
Oh,
and
wow.
the craze came, later than that. But
So almost 20 years.
we've had almost 20 years of Twilight.
Yep.
And man, watching these movies, we're not talking about the movies today, but watching these movies really did take me back to a simpler time of like when we were in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It really just brought me right back.
And that's where I want to start.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to ask each of you, what was your personal experience interacting with Twilight as a thing? Books, movies, early memes. Like, when was the first time, Brett, we'll start with you,
Sure,
that you interacted with the legend, the masterpiece that is Twilight?
It was definitely in high school. Samantha, I may have been one of the people who borrowed your copy of the first book. Because I don't think I ever owned it, but I did read the first two books, and I saw the first two movies in theaters, and that was where the series lost me.
Oh, so you were out.
I was out.
Okay.
Until you pulled me back in. You brought me out of Twilight retirement.
And you as me.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I brought you in first.
Yes. That's
And-
true. It is directly the two of you playing.
Mel brought you in most recently.
With our powers combined, you cannot escape.
Well, I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I've actually kind of enjoyed revisiting this and thinking about the phenomenon.
We'll beat you into submission. We will stalk you at school until you give in.
I'll watch you
Yeah.
sleep.
Oh, great.
I won't, because I'll be too busy sleeping.
That does sound more likely.
Thank you.
For
Yes.
But yeah, so that it wasn't even like I had was like, wow, book 2 and movie 2 sucked and I'm out. It was just kind of like my interest faded. I think also I found the prose in the second novel so unbearable that I just couldn't keep reading the books, because I was like, it's not the story and characters that I had an issue with. I was just like, the writing style is so basic and so bad that it drove me crazy, and I just like couldn't do anymore.
I could not have disagreed with you more as a 17 or 18-year-old, but we'll get to that. Samantha, your experience with Twilight?
Oh, yeah. I don't know who did this, but somebody lent me their Twilight copy sophomore year of the school we went to together. And I was, a big reader, but I got through it really quickly and then proceeded to I then got my own copy and lent it to, it felt like everyone in our grade.
Probably.
Maybe the grade below.
Not me.
Not you, Mel. But you can borrow my copy if you want to.
No.
I'm all set.
Pass.
It's still hidden under my stairs because it's not on my bookshelf anymore. But yeah, so I very much was into the Twilight-ness. I was telling Mel earlier that I was on Stephanie Meyer's website a lot to be refreshed on news. When's the next book coming out? Ooh, the host. Let me read the host. So yeah, I was really into the books and got them as soon as they were released. And then I was the same with the movies. I saw the second one and I was out.
Okay, interesting.
I enjoyed Twilight fine, I think, in theaters. It played Supermassive Black Hole by Muse, so I was like, I'm in. Mm-hmm. And then something about New Moon, I just was out, and I remember distinctly being annoyed that, Victoria? Okay. I was miffed when she was recast, even though I do like Bryce Dallas Howard.
I'm still miffed that she was recast, which we'll talk about next episode.
Yeah.
And I think part of me was like, I'm out at that point. I was like, I'll take my stance. Here's my out.
Wow, that's very James of you.
No.
Yeah, what about you, Mel?
Different experience on my end. I hadn't even heard of Twilight until, which is weird because I did read a lot. And I was not above reading YA. But when the first movie came out, I had a group of girlfriends that wanted to go to the midnight showing. And I just was like, whatever, I will go along with you. But I didn't know, like, what it was. And I remember very distinctly, like, getting to the movie theater and there just being a million girls wearing, like, custom-made T-shirts and, like, T-shirts that were clearly made, like, to promote the movie. And it was just, like, really kind of, I don't know. To me, it just felt, like, really cringe in that moment. And then, and I was like, I'm too cool for this. Mm-hmm. And then I watched the movie and I was like, oh, I'm in love with this. And I went out and got the first book, read it in like a day, got the other 3 books and read them in quick succession before the second movie came out. And it's like, if you had asked me when I was in high school, which is so weird, I would have said the second book was my favorite. I think I just loved being miserable, and that book is so miserable. I don't know where my copy of New Moon is, but it's like totally shriveled up and like...
I was like, is it tear stained?
It is. It's like deformed by having been cried in so hard. And no, it's not good. But like I was so wrapped up in it that like by the time New Moon came out as a movie, I had my own T-shirt that I was wearing to the midnight showing. And then into college, I was in a college town that had one movie theater that had 2 screens, but I would literally drive like 4 hours to DC to go see like midnight showings with like my aunt who lived up there because she was really into it.
That's so funny.
And so I was like really in it. And I don't think I ever would have like defended it as high art. Like by the second, third movie, the silliness of it was already kind of apparent. But I really enjoyed them. And I thought that society, even then, I thought society was being a little too harsh to this idea of, oh, it's this thing for young girls and like lonely, middle-aged women. Like the misogyny of all that discourse is something that there are better places you can find really good video essays about that. But I was like very into it at the time.
Yeah, that tracks. I mean, as were many, and I totally agree with you about the misogyny. And it's just even like, and the more time passes, the more it's so clear in retrospective. Just like, wow, we just like hate like teenage girls as a society and hate the things that they like.
Yes.
Yep.
And just anything that they like is cringe and bad and stupid, and you're stupid for liking it. And it just gets, it has just become so apparent, and it is so sad. It really is.
And I don't think like
disappointing.
As a society we have fully moved past that kind of idea, right? I think there's still a lot of that echoing around.
But I think it has improved. I don't think it's quite the same, because think about like people being like, I want like Britney Spears to die when she was just being like a teen pop star.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. I'm just like, oh, I hate this thing.
We're less mean than we were in the aughts.
Yes, it was a very, very, very mean decade.
I think we're nicer as a whole, but I think the disdain that we do have for the things that teenage girls like and gravitate towards is still there. But I think Twilight is maybe the best example of something that so many people would make it the butt of a joke without having read or seen any of it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Does this ring a bell? Still a better love story than Twilight.
I actually want to talk about that.
Yeah.
So moving on from maybe I do want to talk about like the rise and fall.
Yeah.
So it was like this huge craze. It was in the news, like everyone was talking about it. Are you Team Edward, Team Jacob?
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah. Like it was this huge phenomenon.
And like the stars, like Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart were under such a microscope. Like they were not just as actors, but like as public figures, they were so scrutinized.
Trump was tweeting.
Yeah.
Okay, that stuff is really funny. Definitely go look up Trump's tweets about Kristen Stewart because they actually are so funny to me.
It's amazing.
He was really invested.
He really was.
We all were.
Right, I know. I'm like, that's the most relatable he's ever been to me.
He loves like
He's
dumb
Team
shit
Edward.
like that. He is.
He is.
He is Team Edward. And you know what? So was I.
So was
was
I.
I.
Okay. Oh my god, I didn't realize.
I mean, I very rarely met Team Jacob people.
No.
I don't think that character was done any justice in the movies or books for him to even be like a compelling option for
I
Bella.
agree.
But we can get into that when we talk about the source
Yeah, my
material.
notes on him for the next episode.
Yeah, what? You'll have to tune in next time to hear our hot takes about Jacob Black, the werewolf love interest. Or sorry, the shapeshifter,
Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
not werewolf. That is, I don't know, kind of unbearable in my opinion.
What's he
but
shape into?
A wolf.
Okay, just checking.
It's the deep lore from the fourth book. It's the big twist. I read them anyway. So after the craze, there was the reaction. And it was quite reactionary. As Brett said, for the longest time, every trilby tipping internet edgelord would say, still a better love story than Twilight. And it's like, look, Twilight is not good in the sense that it is silly, it's cheesy, it's poorly written. The movies are, we'll talk about it next time, but they're kind of bad, especially after the first one. Like, they're not, in the world of the best love stories, it's not one I would pick.
Yes.
But it is not the worst love story.
Right.
No, at all.
There are so many things that people
it gets
said.
way worse than that, guys.
I'm saying, like, there are so many people who would say, still a better love story than Twilight, and they were actually wrong. And it
Yes.
used to make me so mad. I remember I was in a book club as an adult. Like, it was after college, and someone made that joke, and I, like, flipped out on them, and they got really weirded out. Because an adult was, started, telling them off. Being like, have you even read the books? Of course you haven't. Have you seen the movies? Of course you haven't. You are just shitting on something that you think is below you.
Yes.
And it was like righteous anger.
Yeah.
And it was like that for the longest time. And then it sort of just went dormant for a while. But like even then, and we'll talk.
Sorry, I was like, you were society on this.
What?
You went dormant about it or society did? I'm sorry. Continue.
I never went dormant.
Okay, just making sure.
You kept you carried that torch
I
the
did.
whole time.
I mean, I wouldn't even say I'm like its biggest fan, but
No.
like I liked them and I knew they were kind of crappy, but I don't think they're like that much worse than Harry Potter or like a lot of the books that we read as kids that were like for kids. Like, is it well written? Fuck no.
No.
Is the story
prose is really bad.
super coherent?
Precisely.
You know, it's fine. But it's like there are so many things that we as society think highly of that are no better or no worse. You know, it's just, it was hated because it was this thing that was seen as for teenage girls and therefore it's stupid and bad to the
Yes.
point where like the leads to this day distance themselves from it. You know, like they all think it's embarrassing to have been in it. Honestly, they're not that bad of movies.
No, and I actually don't even think the leads are even that bad in it, apart from some moments where they have like awkward dialogue. But I'm like, it's a shame they feel the need to like distance themselves from it so much.
And it's only because it's Twilight.
Right,
Yeah.
literally. I'm like, it's not even like it's not that
Like,
bad.
name any actor, and they've been in something worse.
Yes.
Like, there are so many huge celebrities, like A-listers, who had their start in, like, really weird, shitty movies. And, like, Twilight's not that bad. But there was this huge reaction to it. And then I feel like it just sort of Not for me personally, but as a society, we just stopped talking about it for a while.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the Zoomers found it.
And this is very much out of my knowledge base in my wheelhouse. I don't know much about the Zoomers finding Twilight or its like resurgence.
I just know from TikTok.
Well,
You can Twilight splain to me.
So-
Zoomer splain.
TikTok and Facebook, I would say, are the places where Twilight had its resurgence.
That makes sense because I'm not on either platform, so I'm not seeing that.
There's kind of like multiple things happening. So one, there's people like, I would say me, who have always had sort of a nostalgia and enjoyment for the series. And then there are the people who are new to it. Predominantly, they're just watching the movies. Because I don't think Zoomers can read. Especially the younger
talked about
ones.
this recently.
And anyone like younger than like 25, I think is like, there's
Functionally illiterate.
there's like a 50% chance they're functionally illiterate.
That's why this is a podcast and not a blog.
Not that I think it's their fault. I just think like,
Yeah.
because I think even if I had been a teenager when I had or a small child and I had a cell phone and an iPad in my hand, I don't think I would have read all that much either. But they're watching the movies a lot. And the movies are just so strange. Like visually, the choices are so strange. The dialogue is weird. Like,
Yes.
it's so awkward
Yes.
and bizarre.
And silly.
And the premise is bizarre and silly that it's like, not to go back to or I guess we haven't done it yet because we're going to release it later, but it's like chum in the water for these Zoomers.
Yes.
They want that weird shit.
We have left the chum line for them.
And we, like, our better love story than Twilight meme walked, so TITSOAK could run.
I have no
What
idea
is
what
that?
you're talking about.
Do you know what TITSOAK
I
is?
do not.
It's an acronym, and it stands for "This is the skin of a killer Bella."
Okay.
I stumbled halfway through it because I was like, "Is it that dumb?" Yes, it is. This is the skin of a killer Bella,
Okay.
but without the Bella. So it's just this is the skin of a killer. TITSOAK.
I want that on a t-shirt.
Oh,
now that I know.
you can.
I know.
There are hundreds of T-shirts out there. There are tons of Zoomers and millennials with TITSOAK tattoos. There's a whole.
Never mind. We're going to get matching TITSOAK tattoos.
I'm not above it. There are like, it's the fluorescence. Like people love that line. They love, where the hell have you been, Loca?
Yes.
I like clapped and pointed when that line
Yes.
came up.
My husband, Redacted, has not stopped quoting that.
It is so funny. And he says the name Bella so weirdly every time.
TITSOAK, and then hold on, like Spider Monkey.
Yes, hold on, Spider Monkey. Yes, that was another one that I clapped.
I do quote that one.
Yeah.
And these are like lines that are delivered like generally earnestly without humor in these movies.
Yeah.
And it just makes it like magical that these
And they're lines from the book.
Oh,
Well, not
they?
all of
Yeah.
them.
Oh, no.
Not all of
Which
them.
one?
The monkey one was not in the
Oh,
book.
I guess that incepted in my mind.
But
Okay.
also, I feel like that one is supposed to be like funny. I think there's certain things that I think the movies maybe get some hate because like there is stuff that is intentionally supposed to be funny and silly that people just assume it's like ridiculous and like how did they not know when they were making it? And it's like they did.
They did.
Literally that like it's funny because they knew it was funny.
I don't think it's as. I wouldn't say that all of the things that make it funny are ironic, and I don't think it was all intentional.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's not.
But it is not supposed to be humorless. Like it is
Yes.
supposed to be fun and enjoyable, but a lot of the humor that has sort of proliferated into the meme space, the meme sphere,
yes.
is unintentional.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Like the entire like being of like Jasper like took over TikTok.
Yes.
There's that like one
Yeah.
lady.
I meant to look her up.
There's this one lady who just does like amazing like Jasper impressions. And she just like will like take scenes and just like put herself in his position. It's like watching the movies again. I just like think like I noticed Jasper in a way
Yes.
that I never did when I was, younger watching
Okay.
the
That
movies.
look on his face.
Or even just like the fact that he's like a Confederate
Yep.
soldier.
Yeah.
Like it's entered discourse in ways that are like so funny because in 2009, all we could say was, still a better love story than Twilight. And now you just have like a bunch of 22-year-olds debating like, is Jacob a pedophile? Yes. Is Edward an adult, or is he like a child forever? Like,
I think he's a child forever.
I think so too. Like, I actually don't think that he is extremely problematic and creepy.
Yes.
But not because he's
like an old man or whatever.
Yeah, no.
Like, he's not an old man. He's just been a teenager for a long time.
Yes.
Is how I read it.
Me too.
But he's still like sneaking into her bedroom and like watching her sleep, and like that
Yes.
stuff is I don't care for.
Way before she knew.
It's funny because I'm like, I feel like I couldn't get through any of the movies like quite, because I'm like, I'm ready to defend Stephenie Meyer and ready to defend Twilight, and there was like at least something in each one that I'm like, except that I can't follow you there.
Yeah.
But it's like, it was written by like a Mormon lady.
Yeah, just like a Mormon housewife, Stephenie Meyer.
That, it's about a real tribe.
Yes.
Called the Quileute tribe that has been done.
That is not a fictional tribe.
She didn't come up with a fictional tribe. She just picked one.
And said they're shapeshifters.
Well, and as I read on stephaniemeyer.com, as I refreshed myself on that today, which I used to read a lot before, she came up with the idea based on a dream. She had a dream and she was like, I gotta get these kids to swim practice, but I gotta write this dream down.
And you know what? I am glad she did.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I am actually glad to live in a world where Twilight does exist.
Yeah. I don't think...
Truly, like...
Yeah. I don't think the world is worse for it. Like, I think it's silly to, like, overstate how good the actual content is. But, like, as a force of just, like, something in society that we can share as this, like, strange thing that happened.
Yes.
And it's such a, like, slice of its time.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Like, I like it in a way now that is different than how I liked it as a teenager.
Yes.
Because, like,
Me
when
too.
I was a teen, I, like a lot of teenagers, was able to slip into the cipher that is Bella's character. Like, she's so bland.
Mm-hmm.
She is, like, the perfect character for you as, presumably a teenage girl who feels like you're different from all the other girls. You can put yourself into Bella's shoes, and the hottest guy in school thinks you're special and interesting, despite the fact that you're truly not. Because Bella is really boring. But even into today, like, I love the fact that there are these, like, weirdo Facebook communities where they're just celebrating this thing that, like, some of them just don't really get because they're so young. They're like, why was Alice wearing this horrible outfit? And it's like, well, in 2008, that was actually considered a cool outfit.
It sure was.
And we just wore shit like that. In the first movie, it's like every single outfit Bella has is like one of those super tight, like Hollister, like Hensley shirts or whatever they're called. It's great.
It was very fun to look back at the fashion of the times through the movies.
Yeah.
Really is a nice little time capsule.
And I think, like, it is a time capsule for that, and maybe that's why a lot of the Zoomers love it and the millennials are nostalgic for it, is it just feels like the music,
Yeah, well, the music actually, like, they do have some decent songs, and
the soundtracks are all really good.
That's the thing. I'm like, that kind of sets it apart from other comparable movies, is they have good soundtracks.
I have to give my husband credit for this, but do you know who scored the third movie?
I do.
Okay. Do you know who scored the third movie?
Why
Mel?
would I know that?
Because
it's Howard Shore, Lord of the Rings. My husband, I mean, yes, my redacted, was like, oh, the music's, like, really good in this one. I was like, you're right. Well, not that the others were bad, but it was like, there was a different element to it. It was noticeably different. And I was like, you're right.
It's almost like a professional scored it.
Yeah, and so I looked at it, I was like, Howard Shore, okay. But then
get your paycheck.
Yeah.
I think that was for Eclipse, but then,
it was, and then the other guy came back.
Who did Twilight came back for the Breaking Dawns, which is why you hear a lot more of the Bella's theme and all the stuff, which is fine.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It's just
it brings you to the movie.
Yep.
So
let's take an ad break.
I would love to.
Well, tough shit, because I'm doing it.
Oh.
So this podcast is brought to you by arguing about politics with your family. Has the conversation at dinner gotten a bit stagnant? Are you just a little too sure that your name is in the will and want to create some exciting uncertainty in your life? Try arguing about politics with your family. What does your neoliberal mom think about Israel? What does your libertarian-leaning uncle think about trans people? Does your dad think Joe Biden is a communist lizard person controlled by the Jews? Do you really want to know? Will talking about these issues with your loved ones change either of your minds? Probably not. But why let that stop you? The void calls to you like a siren song, and you are not tied to the mast. Heed its call and let the dark thoughts guide you. Do not prepare or do research beforehand. They will respect you more if you seem flustered and emotional. Don't wait for Thanksgiving. An argument is only a text away. Enjoy!
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your break. I hope you talked politics with all kinds of close and distant family members. And I hope you got real flustered doing it.
I encourage all of you to go into your phone and text every single contact and say, "Do you stand with Israel?"
Oh my God.
My God.
Some people just want to watch the world burn, and it's Mel.
I mean, you'll get some answers you might actually want or not want.
It could be a great way to clear up your contact list if you see it as just an opportunity of like, I've got so many old contacts. Who can I get rid of?
It's like the cayenne pepper water cleanse that
Oh,
everybody
God.
The
was
master
doing.
cleanse.
This is the equivalent. Just diarrhea out
Yeah.
all of your
It
loved
will be,
ones.
It will be just as spicy, if not spicier, than the master cleanse.
So back to something that has no controversy or flavor to it, Twilight. So I want to talk about its lasting impact on society because it was such a thing. Like
Yeah.
it was so big and everything wanted to emulate. As much as society was like being mean and pointing and laughing at Twilight, no one could deny that these movies were huge.
Like a phenomenon.
Yes, truly. Like no other way to describe it, I think, than as a just phenomenon that took the world by storm. So you started having a lot of books pop up that were kind of like the same idea. Some of them that maybe even were written before Twilight would get re-releases of the book with
a cover that looks
kind-
more like the Twilight cover with the apple, yeah.
Exactly. And then you had like 50 Shades of Grey was famously a Twilight fan fiction that had been repurposed into not being about like vampires.
And you want to talk about something that is not a better love story than Twilight?
No.
50 Shades of Grey.
More problematic.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That is like
So-
actually bad and harmful and just like the worst shit in the world. 50 Shades is horrible.
It's pretty
Well, it's
horrible.
BDSM without consent, so it's just
Yes, and the author just like
sexual
doubles down
assault.
on it like all the time. Like she's fucking awful.
The summer 50 Shades came out. I was working at a bookstore, and I swear, just every woman 25 plus was buying 50 Shades and going, "It's mommy porn." To me
Ew.
at the
Yup.
register.
That was
Going,
the phrase.
like
that-
shrugging,
Yep.
"It's mommy porn." And then I was like, "What's mommy porn?"
Mommies, there is better smut.
Like, right. There's good stuff out there.
And
Yep.
and there's a lot of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can find it. You do not need it.
Like, that's like the worst. Like 50 Shades, like that's about the bottom of the barrel. Like it actually probably only gets like better from there if it's being actually published.
Twilight is a better love story and a
Yeah.
healthier one.
Yes.
And it's
Oh,
not that healthy.
No.
So
Although I saw it in kind of a different light this time.
I saw it in a few different lights this time.
Yeah. I was like, I think Bella is a master manipulator.
I think a lot of them are master manipulators.
Bella breaks down Edward's like will
Yes.
to get what she wants.
To get what she wants, and then she
Yep.
becomes like this like badass vampire. And then she's basically like the chosen one of
Yes.
vampires.
She's the chosen one.
Yeah,
I was
but
describing it to someone the other day, and I was like, yeah, she's like the chosen one. By the last the last book and the last movie, it's just like they're just X-Men.
Yes. Yes.
Which is something that like always made me laugh, even when I was younger. Is like the books start out as this like very small story. Even in the movie, they add this sort of like serial killer element to it, where there's like the killings.
They're like, who's so Charlie can just be walking around the woods like, who's doing these killings?
Because truly nothing happens in the book until the baseball scene, which is near the end. Like nothing is happening. So they add that in, but like by the last movie and book, you're just like, okay, these are vampires that can make you see illusions. These are vampires that use that are storm. These are vampires that can make you in pain.
But some of them don't have powers.
No, they
Many
do.
of them do. Oh, do they all?
Like, Esme is like, she is maternal or parental, and
Also,
Rosalie,
Esme
I'm sorry.
had about 5 lines
Mel's
in the
got this.
entire series.
So I hate to bring this up because I am going to talk about it more in our second half. But I had the misfortune of reading Midnight Sun, and it goes into grueling detail.
Punishing detail.
I'm not shocked.
Detail about every single aspect that could be ever thought about in the first book. And I think
so long. Is that just the first book?
this is the first book. You guys can't see it at home.
And this is, Stephanie Meyer wrote this novel, Midnight Sun, and it is the first book from Edward's perspective.
Yes, and it has a lot of retconning.
And there was drama about that back in the day.
I remember someone leaked
Yep.
her first early copy of it, and I remember reading it on my
Yep.
like family computer.
I only read the first chapter she like put out, and I was like, it's about to come out, and then
Oh, I did not realize there was leakage.
No, it was ew.
Discharge.
There was
Chum in the water.
Oh,
I
God.
think it was like a ransom scenario. Like someone said that we have this and we're gonna leak it unless you give us money, and she said, "Fuck it, I'll release it." Like for someone who's so uncool, she has like surprisingly cool moments.
I was going to say, I think that was one of my many notes. It's like, Stephanie Meyer, they could never make me hate you.
I can't.
I just can't. I'm like, she's got flaws like anyone, but I'm like, I gotta say, I kind of like her.
Like, even as she got so much money and power, like, especially comparing her, Sam and I on the way here were talking about JK.
Rolling.
Because, like, she's so similar in the sense that, like, she was this author of a series that was much larger and has way more cultural cachet, I would say.
Yeah, sure.
But, like, for her, the power went straight to her head and she got the brainworms real bad.
Yeah, JK, yes,
and is just doing everything she can to be, like, alienating online. Stephanie never really, I mean, besides maybe her website, like she never really had this, I don't know, like persona that she didn't turn herself into just like a celebrity that was constantly in the public view.
Yeah, no, she never did. Like, she would do interviews to promote the books and movies.
Yeah. That's like a
and
normal
that was about
thing.
it. Right, exactly, like normal author stuff.
Be in the movies, like a little, and at least she was in Twilight.
Okay,
and she
and
was
the most
freaking
obvious,
done.
like, horrible cameo I've ever seen, where it's like, here's your latte, Stephanie.
Yeah. It's great. It's great.
It is great.
Okay, what is your?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh yeah, so to go back to the derailment that we're already
Midnight
on.
Sun.
Midnight Sun is 817 pages. It looks like from the side, it looks like The Stand unabridged.
I was like, that's Lord of the Rings.
It
with
is
the complete.
So big.
That's why I thought I couldn't believe it was just the first book.
It's a lot. But one of the things he does talk about, and there's a lot of retconning in it.
Okay.
For things that just are no one needs to know this stuff.
At least the retcon happened in a novel and not in a series of tweets.
True.
Well, yeah.
The vampires actually all shit themselves all the time. Just magic it away. It's one of their powers.
Okay, that was a funny retcon that I did enjoy of JK.
But yeah, no. So Esme, as Sam said, Esme has like the power of love because
That's the mom,
she's a
right?
lady.
That's
Yes.
Vampire mom.
She's vampire mom. And then Carlisle has the power of like willpower. Like he can be around blood all day. He's the
okay.
one that turns everybody because he won't drain them.
I guess that makes sense.
And I don't think any of this was planned ahead of time, but it's fine.
Because it seemed like it was just kind of like, like at least from the first movie, it just kind of felt like Edward can read minds.
And Alice
Alice
can
see the future.
And Jasper.
And Jasper has mood powers. I don't even know if that was in the first one,
mood
but
powers.
that came in, mood, like he can affect people's moods around
He's like
him.
a reverse empath, but it is way more in
He's an
Midnight's.
X-path. I'm going to cut myself out of this episode.
Exporting path.
But yeah, no, there's a lot of retconning.
So they all have powers, I guess.
Basically,
Okay.
Emmett's a big boy. Rosalie's
big boy.
hot.
Right, yeah.
Like they all
Yeah.
have
Oh,
like
yeah, right, like probably like power of seduction or like whatever.
Whatever.
Whatever
I
it
think
is.
hers is just beautiful.
Yeah.
But like she also says in one of the Twilight books, I think it's either New Moon or not Midnight's Sun, Eclipse. It's when they're talking about the Volturi. They say that like when vampires become vampires, this is where Stephanie, you just gotta shake your head, where she's like, they're predators, and to be natural predators, you become more beautiful. And if you're black, Sam, just so you know, if you became a vampire in the world of Twilight, you would lose all your melanin.
Wow, Stephanie, you did it.
Wow.
You would.
I wish I didn't know that.
That's in one of the books. I think.
Yes, I'm actively trying to be in the sun. How dare you?
Yeah, it's not
But you
great.
would not choose to be a Twilight-style vampire, because we've had this talk.
No, because they don't sleep.
Oh.
And I love sleeping. So I love my melanin and I love my sleep, so
To give both of those up forever.
I can't do it. Now add some glitter, it's okay.
But you're a mother, so
Add
like
some
you get
what?
Glitter.
Oh, they said add some clitter.
Ew! What?
the. It just reminded me of a line from Veep that I may cut out because it's so gross, but
Okay.
it's so funny because someone's like, "How's it going, Jonah?" And he says, "I'm eating so much pussy, I'm shitting clits, son." And
Ew!
it's in front of like a kindergarten class.
No! I do love that show.
Glitter.
Okay, so we can add glitter though to me.
Yes.
As long as it's permanent. I don't want it flaking off. That's what irritates Brett. He'll never see me again.
Yeah,
You don't like glitter?
I do not like glitter.
It's the
Glitter?
only thing that irritates
Glitter.
Brett. Oh.
I'm eating so much. No. Just trying to do like a glitter version of that.
You may
I
have to
don't
leave
know.
all of this in.
I may, because this is not making
But
any
it's what makes it the skin of a killer.
Yes.
Yes. TITSOAK.
Because it's TITSOAK. Because
Okay.
she's like, you're so beautiful. And he just is like, has the most insane, angry look on his face. And that's like, there are so many people out there that have tattooed on their body him making a really ugly face. And it just says like, TITSOAK. It's a beautiful world we live in.
It really is. God bless. The Mormon God of Stephanie Meyer bless.
And I guess it tracks how she feels about melanin.
I mean, it's like,
Ooh.
I don't even know like what kind of racist she is, but she's like some kind of goofy white lady racism.
It's Mormon. It's like church. It's like Church of Latter-day Saints
Yeah.
racism, where it's like it's not.
It's not racism, it's the church.
right.
It's
Well,
like
it's more passive than like overt. I
well,
would
there's
say.
there's
That's
the
more
like
style.
romanticizing of the indigenous people,
Yes.
Yeah,
and them being
I-
fucking shapeshifters, like animalistic.
Yeah.
Like the whole second book, it's like, I mean, it's a whole part of like the werewolves is that they're just like overcome by their base emotions all the time.
Oh yeah.
And it's like they're the only like brown people in at least the books. They added some more like diversity to the movies.
They did actually. I didn't realize that was coming, and then I was like, Rami Malek's here. Like all of a sudden, I was like,
Right.
my goodness, I had no idea any of this was.
You have to wait to the 5th movie for him to show up with his superpowers.
Like his actual superpowers. He's an X-Man.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
is like
like,
they're
for
like
sure.
water benders and shit.
He's like an element spender. He's
Yeah.
like he is the Avatar.
Yeah.
Like, he can do it all.
And then like in the book, I think it's in the movie too, but like the way that they resolve like the dispute with the Volturi is they find like a like indigenous like tribe person.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cart
Yeah.
this guy out in front of like all these vampires.
Because they know about vampires in Brazil.
Yes. It's where my mom
That was like a constant plot thread.
It's where
of
my
those
mom
last two
was
movies.
like studying spiders before she died.
They've got so much stuff down in the Amazon, guys. You wouldn't believe. It'd make your head spin.
Spider
the
people,
spiders and
vampire
the vampire,
people.
the half vampire. Yep, they've got it all. Where the housekeepers are just like They just know about vampire pregnancy.
Oh God. It's like so dumb, but
It really is.
it really just like, and this is me speaking as a white person, but it's like I see it and I'm like, oh, you dumb bitch. But I'm not
Yes.
like mad at her.
No, because it's so like silly and just like.
And I think like if confronted, she'd be like, oh yeah, you're right. I'm like sorry about that.
I think she has actually.
Yeah.
I think she's not like the
doubling down.
No, I think she's kind of like, yeah, maybe like I think that was ignorant of me to put that in.
Actually, the Quileutes are shapeshifters. This real tribe of people in a real like area that I wrote this book about that I've like been to maybe once. It's great.
Bless
Sorry,
her.
that almost knocked my contact out. I was gonna say she respected them by calling them shapeshifters and not werewolves. So there you go.
that was
Well, she
respectful.
calls them werewolves for
Whoops.
3.5 books
Oh yeah. Okay.
because they don't even know they're not werewolves. I don't think this made it into the movies.
I have no idea what any of this means.
So in
I just thought they were
the,
werewolves.
I'm almost done with Breaking Dawn book and movies. So
Okay.
are you okay with a spoiler?
yeah, I mean I've read the books before. I just forgot.
Right.
Okay.
It's just extremely stupid. In the book, the werewolves are like the natural enemy of the vampires.
Right, because it was like their powers are activated by the Cullens being near, right? Isn't that what they said?
And that's
in
why like some of the women get like Leia,
right, 'cause,
like
yeah, the angry werewolf girl.
yeah, like
Or
angsty.
shapeshifter girl, I guess.
I mean,
You're
we
about
can
to
just call them
explain.
werewolves because it's like in the movies. I don't think they ever change this, but yeah, they're like the natural enemy, and they're like one of because the vampires in the Twilight universe are extremely hard to kill. Like you can't stake
Yes.
them, you can't just put them out in the sun. They have to actually be torn apart limb by limb and set on fire in
Yes.
order to die, which is insane for this like teenage love story. Like someone was arguing with me that Twilight's not horror, and I'm like,
I
shut.
disagree.
Like,
and
it's
if nothing else, Breaking Dawn Part 1 is extreme
Horrific.
body horror.
Yeah.
Like actually like
Horrific.
extreme, and the makeup is amazing because it's so unsettling, and I'm like, I've never seen someone look like they're already dead the way that
they
she
had to
looks
have a
in
doll.
that movie.
It's like a
It's insane,
it's crazy.
and it is horror for
It is.
sure. Like
I will say I paused when you first brought up Twilight as horror, and I was like, is it? Because I was so focused on the love elements because I haven't read or watched it in over a decade.
yeah,
And then watching the movies and reading, I'm like, oh yeah, it's horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's a lot too because you're like
For sure.
like Dakota Fanning's whole role
Pain.
is horror.
Pain.
Like the whole thing is like she's a creepy like child vampire who can inflict extreme pain with her mind.
And like other child vampires are not allowed to exist. So that's like
Also, vampires and werewolves.
they're vampires and werewolves.
Yes.
And there's like people getting like bitten and killed.
Killed.
And there's
All the time.
it's
A lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot. They're pretty
lot.
violent. Yeah.
they're pretty violent. The stakes are high. But to get back to what was I talking about?
Oh,
Oh,
the
yes, the
shapeshifting.
shape-shifting. But before I lose it, just so you all know this, because it's so important, is in the book, the Volturi are coming up with all these reasons because,
And that's the vampire like high council.
yes, they're like the gay sort
European
of
aristocracy.
yes,
yeah.
Euro trash. I love them so much. I love the Volturi.
Me too.
I would definitely want to hang out with them if I was a vampire, not as a person because they'd eat me. But
You make one typo and you're out.
Out.
they're great, and I just love the portrayal.
Me too.
They're coming up with reasons to basically isolate Edward and Alice specifically because they want to
Right.
recruit the best X-Men for their like evil squad.
Mm-hmm.
And they see Edward's power and Alice's power as like really valuable for their ability to maintain control over vampire society. And the Cullens have to get a bunch of like other factions to witness what goes down. This is like the entire plot of Breaking Dawn. At least the second movie in the second half
Yeah.
of the book. And once it's like clear that they don't actually have a vampire child, which is like against the law that they came up with.
Yes.
Yes, vampire law.
And it is established in the books, like early on.
Yeah.
Having vampire kids is bad. Unless it's Dakota Fanning. But she's even like a little older.
Yeah.
Like you don't want like little vampire kids.
Right.
But they think they have one, so they have this whole thing. But then at another point, like the Cullens get the werewolves to back them up because they're one of the few things that can actually hurt. Like they can kill vampires. They can just chomp on them and they're not like marble to werewolves. Don't think about it too hard.
I sure didn't and won't.
I kept having to tell myself when going through these, Samantha, just let it happen.
That's very much where I was at with that.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm wrong and I'm making this up, but I'm like pretty sure in the book they say, well, actually, they're not actually werewolves. They're shapeshifters, which is, I guess, a thing that all Native American tribes can do in this world. And their like spirit animal totem just so happens to be wolves.
Oh,
so they're
I
not
see.
actually werewolves, which do presumably also exist in this world. They are just Native Americans whose special shape-shifting power is the wolf.
Okay.
So that all makes sense and is fine. I don't know why they would leave that out of the movies.
It does add a lot to my understanding of the complexities of the plot and character arcs.
You're welcome.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad I managed to include that on this episode. What are some of the other impacts that you have seen that you appreciate, hate, just are aware of?
Honestly, there's not a lot except for just like I guess from my perspective, before hearing about the resurgence and the sort of embracing of Twilight by the young people, by the youths.
The Utes.
I feel like, it was more about just like the memes and like the mockery of it, kind of. And for me, like the nostalgia, 'cause even though I fell off of Twilight and, I didn't go past the second book or movie, still just thinking like, but you know what? I really did enjoy that first book, and I was so glad to be at least somewhat a part of that. And it was fun thinking back about like I was Team Edward. Just like that is so silly, but yeah.
I was going to ask whose team you guys were on.
Well, it's actually, because I think I wrote in my notes, I'm like, well, there's Team Edward, like, I'm Team Edward, like, / Team Carlisle for Bella, and I'm Team Charlie for me.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, okay.
I'm like, now that I am coming back to this, I am Team Charlie.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
love
still
Charlie.
He's still
I'm
cop,
into it.
but I'm wearing my Team Emmett shirt that I had made for myself for a movie marathon I did and immediately regretted.
Oh.
But I was Team Emmett back in the day.
Not a bad choice, I gotta say.
I like a himbo.
Yeah, Team Emmett's solid. Well, I guess I'll save it.
I think for Bella, Team Alice. I think Alice would have been the best option for her.
I just found Alice so annoying.
She is annoying, but
She's
so is
so
Bella.
annoying. Well, I found Alice more annoying than Bella. But I am famously a hater, so.
Well, Alice was also like the manic pixie dream girl with the pixie haircut.
I think that's why, yeah. But yeah, so I guess in terms of lasting impact, I didn't have much except just sort of a general warm, fuzzy nostalgia for maybe that time and being part of a big cultural phenomenon.
And I think like the rise of the YA, like female-led, embracing the girliness of the franchise, movies that came after that was, I mean, maybe some of them were not that good, like Divergent, but yeah. I think it like opened the door to more of that.
And I gotta say, I kind of like, thinking back, I like that Twilight is female-led. And even though Bella's a bit kind of like not like the other girls, it really doesn't push that too far. And it's nice that like she has no like inherent like violent skills. Like Hunger Games, like Katniss is with the bow and arrow, or like, all these female protagonists of these types of stories tend to be very like physical, or like they're good at combat. And that is not Bella's thing. Like she's not.
Even as the chosen one vampire, her power is just like being. Sorry, there's like a bug flew at my face.
It's been flying around me.
She's just like.
That could be a Native American shapeshifter.
Oh
so I think, watch your violence.
Be careful.
Yeah, be careful. Okay.
I'm so sorry. I'll do a land acknowledgement after this episode.
I hate us.
Even when she becomes the chosen one vampire, she's just like null. Like that's her power.
Yes,
She's just like.
She nullifies the other powers.
It's like, oh, you thought I was boring as a human. That is actually my power. Like, you thought I was devoid of thoughts?
Energy vampire.
I am,
Kinda, yeah.
devoid
it is a very
of...
useful power, though.
Oh, when you are fighting the X-Men and one of them's power is just to send out, like, pain magic.
Torture rays, yeah.
Like, you want that shit.
You sure do.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I like Bella as a character in the sense that, like, she is so shamelessly the Cypher that is perfect for the bookworm girl to put herself on. But she's not catty. She's friends with the normal girls at her high school.
Which I also appreciated, that she's not even like, the other girls at school only care about makeup and boys, and I'm not like that. Like, she's fine being friends with the girls, and like, yeah, they're not besties necessarily, but like, yeah, she's not some horrible, like, not like other girls, like, you know, female misogynist type of character at all. I don't know, I just appreciate that.
Yeah, she's like boring and shitty, but like, I don't think she's like a negative force on society.
No.
At all.
I wouldn't call her a positive, but not a negative.
Noel. She is Noel.
Yeah. Yep.
She is like the absence of.
She is.
Makes her kind of an interesting character to be like the lead of these books.
I gotta say, something I love about Bella is that she tries to make jokes and be funny and is bad at it. And I find it very charming.
Oh.
Like, even though like her jokes aren't even always that bad, her delivery is always so bad that like no one laughs. And I don't know, I just think that is such like a cute trait for a protagonist to have.
And she's just like awkward and you know, she's just kind of bumbling around.
Very clumsy. But not in a way where that's like her sole character defining, although it's
Well,
close.
I will say, I'm picking up my copy of Midnight Sun again.
You're heaving that tome around.
I am carrying it.
You're offering it to us much like the apple on the cover of.
Yes. Oh, I am. I'm
Twilight.
holding it like the apple. It is a much larger part of this book because everything is more of a part. I want to say
a lot of smell, right, in that book?
Yes.
A lot of smelling.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of everything in this.
Okay.
There's a little too much of everything. And I will say that you liked the book Twilight. And in the most insane choice of any author, I think, ever, she has written Twilight, her first biggest book, 2 more times. Because Midnight Sun is the same story, but much, much longer and boringer from the point of view of Edward. And then she wrote Twilight / Life and Death or whatever.
Is that the gender
Gender
swapped
swapped.
one where, yeah.
It's like Edwina and like Bo or whatever.
These names.
Buford.
Are you Team Edwina?
Buford Swan or something. I would love to say I'm kidding, but I
might read that one.
It's honestly the only book of hers about Twilight I haven't read.
That one sounds
And it's
interesting.
not because I'm above it. It's just I'm still recovering from Midnight Sun.
Yeah, I'm not going to be going down the Midnight Sun
Did not
route.
know about it, but I did see it on Libby because I was checking out all these books to listen to, and so I may be listening to it in a few weeks.
That'll be save it for part 3.
I'm not listening to Midnight Sun because I tried to once with Redacted, and he made me turn it off, and I said, "Yeah, let's turn this off," because it was
for your own good.
I couldn't deal with all the sniffing, all the smelling, all the obsession.
We're going to talk a lot more about this book because I have things that I really want to say about it
Okay.
in our next episode. But it is just absolutely insane behavior for an author to just keep dredging up this same story.
We did go over our teams. Because you said you were Team Alice for Bella.
And Team Emmett for me.
Yes.
I lightly said mine.
Yeah, you just kind of agreed with mine.
Yeah, well, to be clear, I was Team Edward back
Me
in
too.
the day. I am Team Charlie now.
I think Charlie sucks, but y'all do your thing.
He's
We'll
not.
get into it next episode.
I was going to say it's not to be my father, but
He has a mustache
Yep.
that's pretty good.
and he wears flannel. But yeah, I keep forgetting the cop part, even though that's like the whole deal. But I don't know. Maybe Team Billy. He's nice. Is he not? No? Okay.
Who's Billy? Oh, Billy
Wow.
Black?
Yes.
Well, he dies, right?
Does he die?
Doesn't he?
I don't know.
Whatever.
I only watched these movies a week ago.
Well,
You can't expect me to remember any plot event.
I thought he died in New Moon, and that's the funeral.
That was Harry?
Oh,
That
maybe
was
so.
a friend.
Maybe he makes it.
Maybe.
But he is friends with whatever. Who gives a shit?
I certainly
Wow.
don't know.
Who gives a shit about my pick?
No, I mean,
I
well,
agree.
yes, but
We were both like, yes, that's correct.
actually, yes. And then you said Carlisle for Bella.
Yeah.
It is
Well,
funny.
not even really like character-wise, just like they had a lot of chemistry in their scene when he's like patching up her wound in New Moon. He's like patching up her arm and she kind of like touches his waist or whatever, and it really feels like kind of sexually charged to me.
In the book, he is supposed to be like 23.
Yep.
And the actor isn't much older than that.
Yeah.
I thought he was like, I mean, I think he looks great. I like looking at Carlisle. Peter
Facinelli.
Facinelli.
Yes, Facinelli, you're right.
Dinklage.
I almost said
Dinklage was my first thought, but
I almost
no.
said Fagaccini
No,
again.
no. Again.
Sorry, the Pope made me do it. The Pope made me do it. Yeah, I liked Carlisle.
Do you think the Pope has read Twilight?
No.
Oh.
I think he may have.
You think so?
It's possible.
Someone ask him.
I'll tweet at him.
All right, so stay tuned for our next episode about Twilight, where we're going to actually dig into the source material that created this phenomenon. But until then, where can people find us?
queerandloathingpod@gmail.com and queerandloathingpod on Instagram.
Very good.
There you go.
And yeah. And soon to be, coming soon to Patreon.
Oh.
But not yet. So but stay
Soon
tuned.
being extremely relative.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Soon is a very large, like, open window of time.
If you're a vampire who lives forever, what does soon even mean?
It is but a blink of your eye.
Which you only do to
Which
keep
you need to be reminded
the
of.
you have to keep the humans around
Hey,
you.
3 times in a minute, like Emmett said.
All right.
So, okay.
Bye.
I guess this is it. All right. Well, all right. Until next time, I'm queer.
I'm Loathing.
And I'm Samantha.
What team are you? Tweet at us on
Oh,
our
God.
on our Instagram. Wait, shut the fuck up.